स्वागत है आपका शब्दों के सफर के नए एपिसोड में। तो शब्दों के सफर के नए एपिसोड में इस पर हम आपके सामने लेकर आए हैं एक डायरेक्टर को। इनका नाम है निशिल फेत। निशिल फेत जो है विफलिंग में पढ़ाई कर चुके हैं। साथ में जो है इन्होंने न्यूयॉर्क से अपनी फिल्म एजुकेशन ली है। एंड उसके बाद जो है ये अपनी फर्स्ट फिल्म बना चुके हैं जो कि एक इंडी फिल्म थी जिसका नाम था भस्मासुर। साथ ही में ये काफी सारी फिल्मों में जो आप असिस्टेंट डायरेक्टर भी काम कर चुके हैं। ये अपनी फिल्म प्रोड्यूस कर चुके हैं जो कन्नड़ फिल्म थी डोंट टेल माय मदर। ये उसके प्रोड्यूसर भी रह चुके हैं जहाँ पे इन्होंने ये फिल्म को प्रोड्यूस की थी। अभी इनकी रिसेंट सीरीज आई है 13th जो कि सोनी लिव पे अवेलेबल है। 1 अक्टूबर को ही लॉन्च हुई है। तो आइए बात करते हैं निशिल फेत से उनके अलग अलग जर्नी के बारे में। एज अ राइटर, एज अ प्रोड्यूसर, एज अ डायरेक्टर उनकी कैसी कैसी जर्नी रही। और साथ में हम बात करेंगे उन सारे नए इंस्पायरिंग डायरेक्टर फॉर एक्टर्स के बारे में जो अलग अलग जर्नीज के थ्रू जो है कैसे अगर वो जाना चाहते हैं इस फील्ड में तो कैसे उनका प्रोसीजर रहना चाहिए, क्या क्या प्रोसेस रहना चाहिए, इस सब पे भी वो हमें गाइड करेंगे। तो आइए बात करते हैं निशिल फेथ पे उनकी जर्नी के बारे में। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मोस्ट वेलकम टू शब्दों का सफर एंड थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग मी हियर। इट्स एन इमेंस प्लेजर टू।
Thank you for having me.
थैंक यू सर। फूफा आपने एनवाईएसए से जो है पढ़ाई की है। एंड उसके बाद जो है आपने जो है वहाँ पे जो है फिर मेजर स्टूडियोज के लिए जो पाइपलाइन होती है वो तो काफी फिलोसफिकल या प्रैक्टिकल। मतलब आपकी क्या चैलेंजेस थे जब आपने जो है इस सब को छोड़ के आपने ट्रेडिशनल स्टूडियो सिस्टम को बाईपास करके शुरुआत करने का सोचा कि सीधा
Uh,
बफनासुर जैसे प्रोजेक्ट्स को लेके आएंगे जो काफी ज्यादा हाई रिस्क है, मतलब इंडिपेंडेंट फिल्म मेकिंग करना।
sorry to cut you off, पर एक्चुअली मैं एनवाईएफएफ से नहीं आया हूँ, मैं विस्लिंग
जी।
वुड से आया हूँ।
ओके वेफलिंग।
हाँ, विस्लिंग वुड से।
जी।
तो हाँ, बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट यू आस्क्ड मी दो, मुझे लगता है एक्चुअली व्हेन आई वाज स्टडीइंग एट विस्लिंग वुड्स, तो लास्ट ईयर में मैं ढूंढ रहा था काफी काम इन टर्म्स ऑफ लाइक बीइंग एन असिस्टेंट, बिकॉज
जी।
दैट फेल्ट लाइक द नेक्स्ट बेस्ट थिंग टू डू वंस यूर आउट.
जी।
But unfortunately, I wasn't getting those gigs.
ओके।
So then the only way I thought we could do, or I could do something about it, was maybe like venture into the space of fiction and make a film on
जी।
our own. So a lot of indie films also were coming out
जी।
during that time. So I thought that should, at least that way, I'll be working on films. Otherwise, it was getting a little frustrating.
या।
So I got together with the team I had in school,
ओके।
and under our own production house, East Steel Films, we started. That was our first production, and like you said, it was. मतलब हम ऐसे सोच ही नहीं रहे थे कि एंट्री लेना है, एंड
जी।
लाइक इन दोस्त इट वाज ऑल अबाउट कि फिल्म बनानी है.
जी।
It started that way, and then we were fortunate enough that on the way we met people who helped us, like say, told us to apply to Film Bazaar. So
ओके।
वहाँ recommends में it
जी।
turned up. Then from there, Mami happened,
ओके।
and वहाँ से it traveled a few festivals, and
ओके।
Netflix and all these OTTs had just come in.
ओके।
So that's how the Netflix
So
thing
at
also
that
happened.
time you have placed the film into the film festivals and all, also shared it for the film festivals.
हाँ, क्योंकि that felt like the only way to go about such a film,
Yeah.
because theatrical release करने में it would have cost me maybe 5 times the film minimum.
Yeah.
So the only way for a person say starting
Yes,
out
sir.
would be festivals.
Yeah.
So and it sort of fit uh, in that space also.
Yeah.
So we were fortunate enough that the films went wherever it went and
Yes.
got the sort of loved.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I do see nowadays it might be a little harder, because back then you could see that such films were coming onto OTTs a little more.
Yeah.
Uh, Post COVID, I would say काफी reduce हो गया है.
Indie films
So
come आ रही हैं on the platform.
yes, on the platform, and like that time at least you could think कि maybe you cover your cost of production somehow, which
Yeah.
anyways would be like so many people wouldn't like be paid as much, or everyone doing favors for each other.
Yeah.
It's maybe, but you could think of covering a cost of production, but now it seems a little harder, with the
Yeah.
ecosystem.
मतलब आपने जब स्टार्ट किया था तो इट वाज अ गुड टाइम, राइट टाइम टू स्टार्ट फॉर द इंडी फिल्म फेस्टिवल फॉर समवन हु इज स्टार्टिंग आउट एंड इट्स क्वाइट
Yeah.
चैलेंजिंग एज ऑफ नाउ.
Yeah, that's what I feel for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of distribution,
Okay.
nothing else. I think, in fact, more films are coming out, better films are coming out.
Yeah.
But the distribution part is a little tricky for indies right now.
ओके सर। सर बाकी एक जो भी इंडी डेब्यूट फिल्म के लिए, इंडी फीचर फिल्म के लिए एक फंड रेज करना भी मतलब एक स्टार्टअप के लिए बूटस्ट्रैपिंग जैसा होता है। तो भस्मासुर
Yeah.
के लिए जब आपने इनिशियल कैपिटल रेज की थी, तो आपके लिए मतलब क्या स्पेसिफिक स्ट्रैटेजी आपके दिमाग में थी कि कैसे जो है मैं एक सिंगल पीस से कन्वे कर पाऊंगा अपनी ऑडियंस को, या फिर कैसे कन्वे कर पाऊंगा, किस स्ट्रैटेजी पे आपने रिलाई किया था अपनी फर्स्ट फिल्म के लिए?
सो लाइक आई मेंशन्ड अर्लियर, वो फर्स्ट फिल्म बहुत ही सेल्फिश रीजन से बनी थी कि मुझे फिल्म बनानी है.
जी।
तो एवरीथिंग एल्स फेल्ट लाइक कि वी वर ट्राइंग टू मेक इट फॉल इन प्लेस. तो आई रिमेम्बर इन द बिगिनिंग माय co-producer and I, Karan, we didn't have the sort of funds to foot a feature even of that scale,
या।
बट आई थिंक वो जो नाइविटी था एट दैट एज के कर लेंगे, so
जी।
that I think really helped. But of course, after a point, it does catch up to you. So I remember we needed a gap funding of like 5 lakhs
ओके।
around post. So for that, we went towards the
क्राउड
crowdfunding
फंडिंग। ओके।
direction. And luckily through that, we were able to get the 5 lakhs and finish up the post work that was required.
ओके।
So yeah, that it was a challenge in that sense. Uh, but I think the key is, like, say if you have somewhere like a 60-70% sort of budget going on for you
या।
already, then you should go ahead because you can't keep waiting for that
Yeah.
long. I know it's a risky maneuver, but
Yeah.
you're already taking that risk. So this
Yes.
is
So you should
not
take
so
more
much of
risk
it.
in invest in getting the crowdfunding or something, investing in that, so that you can get the
Yeah.
benefit out of it and promote your film at the film festival, film other promotion mediums too.
Yeah, and more than promotion, like at least say where I was coming from, like film to banegi.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know better, at least when I was making my first film. So I think that sort of fever you need in your head that no matter what, through, I'll get it done. And a lot of such films are being made. And I just feel like, in terms of distribution, they should get a better deal.
Yeah. फिर तो उसी से मतलब जैसे कि जो भी काफी सारे ऐसे एस्पायरिंग फिल्म मेकर्स भी होते हैं, जैसे आपने बोला कि वी शुडंट वेट फॉर द परफेक्ट मोमेंट टू स्टार्ट फॉर। तो काफी सारे लोग होते हैं जो कि एक परफेक्ट मोमेंट या एक फंडिंग का वेट करते हैं कि पहले फंडिंग आ जाएगी, तब हम लोग जो है फिल्म में इन्वेस्ट करना या बनाना शुरू करेंगे। तो आपको कब रियलाइज हुआ कि मतलब रादर देन डिलेइंग द प्रोडक्शन, की आपने जैसे अभी बताया अभी, तो डिले करने से ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन के रिस्क पे कि हम लोग जो है रिस्क ऑफ फेलियर से ज्यादा बड़ा है कि रिस्क ले लेते हैं एंड फिल्म बना लेते हैं? तो मतलब वो आपका जो गो टू डिसीजन था वो कैसे ट्रिगर डाउन हुआ?
Uh, See, I think now even with films, there are two kinds. Now, abhi aapko, if you want to get into that commercial zone directly,
या।
so obviously then, uh, maybe have that feeling, I want to crack that and only then will I do something. Fair enough. I mean, each to his own. But like, I feel once you start making films, even on an indie level, what happens is your craft gets sharpened somewhere. You
या।
can start finding your voice. So then, even if you're looking to go, take that big leap, it just helps you in the process.
या।
And today there are like lakhs of directors, say in Bombay itself, who are really amazing at what they do.
या।
And all that's required is like say one chance,
या टू स्टार्ट।
that someone could, yeah, take on you or
या।
something. So many times you don't get that chance. So then either it can come from anger, desperation, or logical thinking, but then you make those
या।
chances for yourself.
या।
Today it's slightly more easier. We don't need like film to shoot. We can shoot on different mediums and digital mediums. So it
या।
becomes, so I think that drive is way up there with the skill and whatever you want to do
या।
in that sense. For me, in terms of Bhasmasur, like I said, I wasn't getting much work. So then I was going around and, looking for work. And I remember going back to one of my teachers from film school.
या।
And I was trying to ask him if he knew someone. could help
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So he used to keep saying like, make a film on your own, make a film on your own.
Yeah.
So after a point, it got to me, like I was like, if you're telling me to make, why didn't you make a film
Yeah.
on your own?
Yeah.
And so he told me a very important thing that, like as you're gonna get older, it's gonna get harder for you
To take
to
the
take
risk.
these
Yeah.
yeah, these sort of risks. Just generally also, say in your 30s, you're a little less prone to taking risks than your
Yeah.
20s. And you have nothing to lose, right? Like there's zero. It's not like if you make a bad film, people will be like, oh, there's a bad.
Yeah.
He made a film. How many
Yeah.
people can say that? So that really like got to me, and the people around me also like were quite supportive. So then, it felt like the uh, next thing to do, to be honest.
Okay. Basically you took the risk, मतलब आपको एक confidence भी आ गया होगा that I have studied in the film school and all, and I have gained little experience out of it, और मुझे वो practical basis पे वो experience को define करना है to the audience, letting the audience know my work.
Yeah, definitely. To have your work outside, of course, like once, film school got done and we got into Bhasmasur, we thought we knew filmmaking, but
Yeah.
then this was another beast altogether.
Yeah.
So it was a film school in itself. So it's always a learning curve,
Yeah.
in that sense.
या ओके सर। सर बाकी अगर बिजनेस पर्सपेक्टिव से बात करें तो भस्मासुर के लिए मतलब आपका मिनिमम बजट क्या था फिल्म का, मतलब मिनिमम वाइबल बजट मॉडल कैसे डिफाइन किया आपने खुद के लिए कि इतना हम लोग को बजट लेके चलना है, एंड मतलब कैसे आपने कैपिटल एलोकेशन की कि मैं एक सिंगल बेस्ट कोई मिस कैलकुलेशन अगर आपसे हुई उस टाइम पीरियड पे बजट को बनाते टाइम पे, और मतलब क्या ऐसा प्रोसेस था जो प्रिवेंट करना चाहिए, आपने प्रोसेस में क्या सीखा, क्या चीजें इम्प्लीमेंट करनी चाहिए कैसे नहीं करना चाहिए?
So actually with Bhasma sir, like I said, I pulled in favors mainly, like all the head of departments. We're pretty
Yeah.
much a team of 12, 15 people. So everyone came in doing a favor, like the editor came in, this would be his first feature to edit. The DP
Yeah.
Shrish came in, this would be the first. So everyone came in together on the music side, Krishna. So that really helped.
Okay.
But apart from that, like I said, that time there was this fever of making the film. So then it wasn't so much about like budget itna hai aur ye
Yeah.
karna padega. It was the other way around that so basically somehow managed to finish the shoot. But then inadvertent, like today now, if you are thinking of making a film, you are going to invest, uh, like say in your tens of thousands just for the hard drive,
Yeah.
right? Like this is not even a thought you take,
Yes.
but that's the sort of like basic amount you do end up spending. So we made it in quite a modest budget, but then we would work towards that budget. Like we'd pick up extra work during post, my co-producer and I, just so
Yeah.
that things stay afloat. It's okay if you wouldn't like that work also, but at least, you're
Yeah.
looking at the longer scheme of things. So that's how we pretty much did the whole thing. Uh, and of course, like I said, towards the end, there was that gap financing that
Yeah.
we got done through
Yeah.
Wishberry that
Yeah.
time.
Crowdfunding and all.
Yeah, the crowdfunding, which was 5 lakhs. So I think like with your post for a film like that, and again, this is back then. Yeah, people making films in way less and way more also. So I
Yeah.
can't really speak for everyone. We would have spent around 10, 12 lakhs,
Okay.
on the post and like the shoot
Yeah.
and say around 20 lakhs or so.
Okay. Yeah, for the first feature film that you have produced. And
Yeah.
basically, it was more of the experience journey with all the that are involved in that around 10-20 people that you are telling about. So
Yeah.
basically, it was more about their experience journey that they are getting experience in making their first film out of that. More
Yeah,
than,
and also apart from that, it was also like the goodness in them, to help me out. I mean, they could
yeah,
have done it 100 different ways, and there were
yeah,
better ways. Today, like say, if you're gonna come out of a film school, say as a director compared to a cinematographer, a sound designer,
yeah,
or an editor,
yeah,
on a direction front, you have slightly more lesser chances than
yeah,
the other three. So I mean, people could have done anything else, but
yes,
so that sort of bond in film school also.
Yeah,
helped and everyone standing for the same thing, what you're trying to say with the film.
yeah, definitely.
So that sort of thing, I think, really got the crew together in that sense.
Great. For basically the bonding in the crew school and all of the you together make the film.
Yeah, that I think is key because skills you'll be able to pick up, in time, but it's very important to hone like people skills also.
Yeah,
The more you're looking to direct and it's a team, big or small, I think
yeah.
that is very important.
ओके सर एंड फॉर अभी जो आपकी नई फिल्म आई है एक वेब सीरीज जो आपने डायरेक्ट की है 13, तो वो काफी एक तरीके से एक जो एक नीश लेवल पे है, जैसे कि मतलब बहुत ही एक क्रिटिकल सक्सेस मीटर क्या है उस फिल्म का, जैसे कि प्लेटफॉर्म का सब्सक्राइब जो भी रेट है आपका किस वैल्यू पे वो सब्सक्राइब होता है, एंड या फिर शो का क्या वेंचर रेट है, वॉच टाइम क्या है। तो आप एक मतलब ऐसे शो पे जो कि एक काफी ज्यादा सोफिस्टिकेटेड मीडियम है उसको कैसे डिफाइन करते हैं, मतलब क्या चैलेंजेस रहते हैं उसके लिए।
I think on that front, our creator and producer would be better off answering those
या
questions because they've dealt with like the OTTs and stuff head on, so they'd be better off. But for me personally, I had met Abhishek through Kuldeep, who's the EP on the project. I worked with Kuldeep earlier, and we were speaking about Abhishek had a few stories he was looking and he was looking for directors. So we met once, and a few months later, again, we got in touch, and that's when he was like ready to make 13. So he's finally looking for a director, and I really liked, what was on paper, pretty
या
much. So I think a lot of actors also on that project will tell you, like, a lot of it was on the paper. There wasn't much convincing
या
required on that front.
ओके
So yeah, I got on to it directly, and then it was made by About Films, and then I think like say sometime this year it found its home in Sony Living.
या इट्स जस्ट लॉन्च्ड ऑन 1st of the October, आई थिंक
Yeah,
द
first of
ऑलरेडी द
October.
रिव्यूज आर ऑलरेडी गुड एंड ऑडियंस इज ऑलरेडी लाइकिंग इट, so that is the
Yeah, true. We're seeing like a lot of responses coming in, nice reactions too.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, so I think yeah, so like you said, it was out on the 1st of October. It has 5 episodes.
yeah,
It's about the whole startup culture and your competitive exams. But at
yes,
the heart of it, it's a story about a mentor and mentee
yeah.
relationship and how that evolves over time.
Yeah. And also raising the funding and being the startup, starting on its own and helping with the
Yeah,
teacher and all that
true.
ITJ culture that we see around quota and all. So that
That's right.
is the core concept. Yeah, that is a very nice
Yeah.
concept. That is something different from what we are seeing, like the investor for investing into big firm for the company. So that is a kind of a different concept, like investing in the educational side more of a,
Yeah, true. And also the fact that, the producer and creator, they have come from that background. So
yeah,
there was a lot of truth to it already on paper.
okay,
Sometimes that also helps.
yeah,
If you're from a space, you know that as an organism
yeah,
better than say someone else.
yeah,
So that really, so that's why it felt very truthful and honest
yeah.
when you read it or even when you
Yeah.
watch it, I guess now.
यस, यस सर, डेफिनेटली सर। बाकी फिर आपने जो फीचर फिल्म की है जैसे भस्मासुर, वो एक फीचर फिल्म थी, एंड अभी जब आपने 13 पे शिफ्ट किया एक वेब सीरीज है वो, तो मतलब उस पे आपने शिफ्ट कैसे किया, मतलब स्टोरी स्ट्रक्चर जो है या फिर जो कोर बिजनेस प्रोसेस है उसमें क्या क्या चेंजेस होते हैं, मतलब फीचर फिल्म में और वेब सीरीज में क्या क्या चेंजेस आपको लगे कि आते हैं, ताकि आप एक सीरियलाइज्ड या लॉन्ग फॉर्म कंटिन्यूटी की डिमांड्स को हैंडल कर पाए, तो मतलब क्या प्रोसेस रहता है उसे हैंडल करने के लिए, एनीथिंग डिफरेंट इन योर अप्रोच।
आई थिंक लाइक मुझे और थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा टू रिफ्लेक्ट बैक एंड सी लाइक particularly and articulate what
Yeah,
exactly we did differently. But yeah, it did take some adjusting into this medium because with an episodic thing, her episode ke baad you want to leave like with a hook also,
yeah,
which in a way like you do with films, but this feels a little more deliberate when you do it,
Yeah.
like, with TV or web series or anything episodic. So that was one interesting thing. But to be honest, because, like I said, the script was written when I had
That was
gotten
well
on
written.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was already flowing in a very nice way.
Yeah.
So in that terms, then it just became about like how we can work with the actors and execute this better,
Yeah.
uh, just pull the scene up. And that I think my focus was mainly on that. That's why I said like maybe sometime later I'll be able to reflect on the thing. But I
Yeah.
did attend one of these workshops which I thought rang true, where they said that if you want to invest, like, say, a plot, or say if something's more plot heavy, if I've got this right, then films is something you want to look at, in
Yeah.
terms of a medium to say that story. And with web series or something episodic, uh, it's great, like if it's more character driven, or
Okay.
you're investing more in the world.
Yeah.
That way there is some sort of a fallback. Again, you're trying to
Yeah.
come back to the show. Sometimes we do see films and then we can't see anything else because it can get heavy,
Yeah.
which shows it's supposed to have that level of engagement, but then at the same time keep it easy, for you to
Yeah.
come back and binge. So that was, I think, like a
Yeah.
key difference between the
For
two.
the film is not about the particular character, basically, it's more about the plot thing. And the web series, in web series, you basically focus more on the character thing rather than the plot. Means plot
Yeah,
means, yeah, joining at the same time, but the more focus is on the character, how character can relate to much more to the people.
yeah. So I'm saying like these three elements, in fact, need to be there in film and web series, and at great detail, and at a very heavy level. But what I'm trying to say is you invest more in character
Yeah.
and the world in a series,
Yeah.
for a series, just so that it can open up and have this world going on. Otherwise, if you have just one storyline running,
Yeah.
then there's only so much you can
Yeah.
pull
Yeah.
probably while writing. So
या डेफिनेटली सो बाकी सर आपने जो एक कन्नड़ फिल्म भी प्रोड्यूस की है डोंट टेल माय मदर तो ऐसा मतलब आपका उसमें प्रोड्यूसर एज अ प्रोड्यूसर आपका कैसा एक्सपीरियंस रहा कि आप मतलब और वो फिल्म जो है फिल्म फेस्टिवल पे भी ओपन अप हुई थी इस साल तो उसके बारे में आप कुछ बताना चाहेंगे एज अ प्रोड्यूसर एक्सपीरियंस या फिर आगे क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा इस फिल्म फेस्टिवल पे जैसे
so basically, Don't Tell Mother एक कन्नड़ा फिल्म है, directed by a debut director Anup Lokur.
जी
So I first met him just as a casual meeting, because he was looking to make the film and he wanted to know, like, how indies can get like distribution to stuff like Netflix and all it.
या
So through we just connected, and so I told him whatever little I knew, and we realized like we were from the same school. He was like a few years senior.
ओके
We lived around the same neighborhood.
ओके
So there was a sort of connect there, and then he asked me to read the script. And when I read the script, so I had no intention. In fact, to be honest, Bhasmasur, I was little scarred in terms of it took us 3, 4 years, like 3 years, I would say, to get everything done.
या
And by the end of it, it was like a reset button,
या
right? So somewhere in my head, I was like, if I go for one more indie, that's another two,
या
3 years. Unless, of course, it's
या
gone through a lab or you have nice funding. That's another
यस
thing. So I was like, I need to do something in the more commercial
या
space if I can get that sort of chance. But when I read Don't Tell Mother, it was such a well-written script.
या
So I had to be part of it some way or the other. And it was about
या
Bangalore, very close to the sort of childhood even I had with my brother.
या
So that's how I got into it. And so we basically, East Steel Films, we basically came into the picture, helped, a lot of the execution part of the film. Like
या
creatively, Anoop had it all on
या
lock. He knew the sort of people he wanted to work with,
या
what he wanted to do with the film and actors. But since he was working in Australia, the ground sort of help that he would require,
या
permissions, this, that,
या
and sometimes it's bouncing things off also
Yes.
creatively.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting process. I got to learn a lot, and it was the first time for me like to take up such a role because
Yeah.
generally I've always been directing,
Yeah.
and
As
it's
a
I'm
producer,
very
it was your first film as a producer?
Like where I was so hands-on. Otherwise,
Yeah.
like, even if you are co-producing, it's like our
Yeah.
own backyard and,
Yeah.
working together and ha making that happen. So this was a very good learning experience for me and got to work with some wonderful people on the crew. And we're very glad that this year at Busan it opened
Yeah.
and hopefully now it goes to more festivals.
Yeah, grateful and congratulations on that. एंड
Thank you.
फिर बाकी ऐसा राइटर भी आपने जर्नी अपनी की है, जैसे कि विम ऑफ में आपने जर्नी की है, तो वहां पे मतलब ऐसा राइटर डायरेक्टर आपने जर्नी की है अपनी, साथ में 13 के तौर पे आपने जो है डायरेक्टली डायरेक्टर के रूप में शेप किया है, तो उसके तौर पे मतलब अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस कैसे चेंज हुए, एक डेली ब्रॉडकास्ट शो पे अपने वर्क को करना या फिर एक ओटीटी सीरीज में अपने वर्क को प्लेटफॉर्म पे क्रिएटिव फ्रीडम के साथ में करना, तो मैनेजमेंट में कैसा रोल प्ले होता है, मतलब क्या क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज में वेरिएशन आते हैं, क्या क्या चैलेंजेस होती हैं
हम्म।
जो आप लोग फेस करते हैं डेली बेसिस पे?
और मुझे ब्रॉडकास्ट का तो नॉलेज नहीं रहेगा बट इन टर्म्स ऑफ वेब सीरीज एक चीज अच्छी क्या थी कि अभिषेक द क्रिएटर ही इज आल्सो कम फ्रॉम लाइक अ फिल्म बैकग्राउंड इन द सेंस ही इज बीन एन एडिटर ही
या।
इज मेड लॉट ऑफ एड्स एंड ऑल तो ही इज डायरेक्टेड इनफैक्ट हिज सीरीज बिफोर दैट फिजिक्स वाला ही डायरेक्टेड इट हिमसेल्फ so he understood like he wasn't just some guy with like the money or just
या।
the will to do it. He knew how the whole thing plays out. So, if anything, on that front, it was very helpful because it helped me also get into this space. In terms of films, what happened, especially like indies, is that the uh, like finally the buck stops with a director.
या।
But once you get into like say a studio system or like
या।
say web series also sometimes you would have seen there's a creator of a web like say a Game of Thrones, but then
या।
you'll have 10, 15 directors. So somewhere the vision is sort of set, in terms of like what the showrunner is trying to like express
या।
through the text,
या।
and then it becomes mainly about executing it.
या।
So it's more of a collaborative process on a show front.
या।
On a film front, of course, it's collaborative, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like at the end of the day, it's the director that
या। that
takes
majorly
the
take
voice
forward.
forward. Yeah, but you're in shows, you often have the creator and the showrunner. So
या।
most of that, heavy work has been done by them. So then
Oh,
it becomes a lot to do with execution
yeah.
and how you can lift that vision
Yeah.
overall.
So it's the collaborative approach, much more of the collaborative approach in the web series.
Yeah.
And the movies are basically more of the director front. That director
Yeah,
basically
it's more
handle.
director friend. Yeah.
Yeah. ओके सर, बाकी आपके पास सेकंड यूनिट जैसे कि एडीज के भी क्रेडिट्स है काफी सारे, तो वो हाई प्रेशर रोल के साथ में मतलब आपके लिए क्या सबसे ज्यादा क्रूशियल चीज रहती है, या नॉन क्रिएटिव ऑपरेशनल प्रिंसिपल्स कौन से हैं जो आपने सीखे इन द प्रोसेस, जैसे आप आज भी अपनी करेंट डायरेक्टिंग स्टाइल में, जैसे आपने अभी 13 तारीख की, तो उसमें आप कैसे यूज करते हो उन्हें?
और टू बी ऑनेस्ट मैंने ज्यादा असिस्ट किया नहीं है ऑलवेज वांटेड टू बट whatever little opportunities I got to assist some very nice filmmakers even though it was short form
या।
content. So assisting is great to a point I feel where you understand, what the workflow is like,
या।
how the nitty-gritties take place in a film shoot.
या।
But after a point, there's not much creative sort of work that's going on. So somewhere you got to know to take that step back and be like, I'm gonna get back to doing what I want to, say in my
या।
case. So, but I think the easiest way, to be honest, is like because it's always good to do these roles because tomorrow, like say, if you're directing and you have an assistant on board,
या।
so like what it is to be in that sort of
या।
situation. Like we said, it's very high pressure, and a chief AD is pretty much running the show.
या।
Everything can come to a standstill without the chief AD. I think the main thing is in such a situation, you got to give said person that space and
Yeah,
elbow room to operate, and also understand in terms of like if say if I feel I couldn't have done something better than that,
yeah,
right? Then there's no point like
yeah,
then try to say like, oh, this is not right. You're not doing this right now.
yeah.
I mean, if
You just
it's
have
all
the
about
experience
problem.
of getting in their shoes and letting them know what are the core responsibilities and all, or what are the challenges for the struggles that they face.
Yeah, which, like, to be honest, like, I wouldn't even know to a great extent, especially when you're directing or
Yeah,
producing and all that, because they're like 100 bullets fired and they've taken 99. No one
yeah,
generally sees that sort of thing. So, yeah, you just need to, like, I think growing up is always important on any project. So once that happens, I think it's always important to give that level of, elbow room to
yeah,
all the artists and the crew. So then life becomes easier. You don't want someone,
yeah,
always at the top of your, always around and trying to figure
yeah.
what's going on and all. So that needs to be a healthy atmosphere,
Yeah.
is what I feel.
Oh, that really helped in the sense that
Yeah.
you get to know about the responsibilities, and now you're working with most of the ADs around you. So you basically know their responsibilities and the challenges that you need to throw in to them so that they can pull it
Yeah.
off in a better way.
Yeah, and more often than not, it's the other way around. The direction team is making your job easier
Yeah,
more than like anything else. So I think like more work is happening there in that sense, if
yeah,
you have to look at it
okay,
at that point.
yeah. डेफिनेटली सो बाकी कास्टिंग के बारे में बात करते हैं। जैसे भस्मासुर में आपने कास्टिंग की थी तो आपने उसमें काफी नॉन प्रोफेशनल एक्टर्स को भी डायरेक्ट किया था उस टाइम पीरियड पे, मतलब जिसमें एक आपने एक चाइल्ड का कैरेक्टर भी शो किया है, तो बिना फॉर्मल ट्रेनिंग के लिए वाले मतलब जैसे बिना फॉर्मल ट्रेनिंग के आपने किसी को लिया, तो बाकी उससे आपने नेचुरल परफॉर्मेंस कैसे निकलवाई, मतलब क्या मतलब आप लोग का कुछ ट्रेनिंग प्रोसीजर था कि आपने उस कैरेक्टर के लिए अपना विजन उन्हें समझाया एंड थोड़ा बहुत ट्रेन किया, तो मतलब वो डायरेक्शनल मतलब उसे इफेक्टिव बनाने के पीछे क्या सीक्रेट था आपका?
हाँ, तो एक्चुअली व्हेन इट कम्स टू कास्टिंग, generally, like my wife Trimala Adhikari, she's also an actor.
ओके,
So generally, like I cast, she casts for me. And in terms of, so we did a lot of workshops with the kid. In fact, she did a lot of, spend that time with that kid to get him to the space, where then we could start working on before we went to shoot. So oftentimes I've seen with non-actors, like uh, there are a lot of surprises, good and bad.
या
And when it's good, it's amazing.
या
Like you cannot even get that out
या
of very trained actors sometimes.
या
So because the subject was such about a child whose best friend is his donkey,
या
is being sold off to the city by his father. So the father was played by Imran Rashid. He's a very good actor. He does a lot of plays at Prithvi, has done
या
film, web shows, and all of that. So we cast him as the father. And with the child, it was best to take someone who was, more rooted
या
in the region.
या
Because, like, I might be wrong, but I feel like if you would have taken, say, someone from Bombay or something,
या
तो वो थोड़ा फ्लेवर नहीं आता,
उस
वो
एटमॉस्फेयर में एडजस्ट करवाने में आपको या उसका जो
हाँ,
ओरिजिनल ऑथेंटिक रूट्स था वो लेने में थोड़ा चैलेंज होता।
करेक्ट, वो बोली में भी एंड ऑल दैट, एंड टुमारो एट 8 9 year old can मतलब you can only instruct them in so many ways, at the end of the day you can't work
या
with them as professional actors. So it was a very challenging role, and with that we had a donkey also. So
या
that, that was another
या
thing altogether. So I think like with those projects, slowly they helped me, to get into this, like start enjoying
या
performances with say non-actors, actors, or whatever. I think it's that
या
process that's always
या
been fun. But on 13th, of course, that wasn't a sort of requirement at all. We needed
या
like good dramatic actors who
या
could, pull the parts off with conviction. So You had Starshade Casting who did the casting for the
Yeah,
show. And of course, Gagan Bhai and Paresh came in for the respective roles. We had a lot of auditions and readings on for those roles as well.
yeah,
So we went through the whole process, and
yeah.
then eventually, like, how it is, you go with what you feel is the best for the project.
Yeah, and how much of your involvement in the casting, like for that you have done it with of the first independent projects that
Yeah.
you were handling, and what is the current situation? For example, in 13th, for what was your role of a director in casting process?
So, like I said, once the script was written, so through and through, you're part of all the departments, like
Yeah,
how you would be as a director in terms of overseeing. So, of course, the heavy lifting is done by every department. Could be it casting, costume, you're overseeing the whole thing. Otherwise, you lose coherence.
yeah,
Like, say, even if you're not with the colors of it or
yeah,
whatever, it might just start looking going all over. So
yeah,
the whole idea is to have like those reins in your hands.
yeah,
So yeah, the whole process, I was there through and through along
yeah,
with the rest of the crew. And I think it took us like a month or 2 months to actually finish the whole casting. And the casting uh, the casting people would look at a lot of tapes, and then eventually if they'd feel, like you were like say 5, 7 artists like who are really good for the role.
yeah.
So then that's something, say
Okay.
then Abhishek, Samir, and I
Yeah.
would come in, we'd have
Okay.
a look, spend
Basically,
time
they
with them.
shortlist around you coordinate
Yeah,
with one of the casting agencies, and they basically shortlist kind of the few 7 to 8 or 10 people out of there, and you basically do the end role in that. Like that's the director's
yeah,
role in the vision that you are looking for to
yeah.
in coordinate with all the departments so that you can basically take that vision to the audience in front of the audience that you are basically the starting vision that you are coming up when the project is started.
Correct, that's right. So that's generally the process everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not particularly in this. So yeah, it was a lot of fun working with all the actors
Yeah.
on this project for sure.
डेफिनेटली फॉर बाकी फिर 13th में जैसे आपने जो है गगनदेव राय की भी कास्टिंग की है तो उनका जो पहला जो कैरेक्टर उन्होंने प्ले किया था जिसके लिए वो काफी फेमस भी है जैसे कि स्कैम 2003 में किया था तो बाकी एक ऑडियंस की एक एक्सपेक्टेशन भी होती है जब आप एक पर्टिकुलर ऑडियंस मतलब एक एक्टर को जो एक पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टर प्ले करते हुए देखते हो तो ऑडियंस की नॉर्मली एक्सपेक्टेशन होती है कि वो फिर उस कैरेक्टर फ्रेम में ही एक्सपेक्ट कर लेते हैं या फिर उनका एक वो होता है कि एक पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टर के ही फिर रोल्स मिलते रहते हैं तो उसको कैसे मैनेज किया क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो उनका रोल है वो काफी डिफरेंट रोल है वो टीचर का रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं जहाँ पे वो एक साथ में एक एडवाइसर का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हैं एंड उसके बाद जो है वो अलग अलग जगह पे जाके अपना एक प्रोजेक्ट जो उनका विजन है एक आइडिया है वो रख भी रहे हैं तो उनको जो एक परफॉर्मेंस में जैसे डायरेक्ट करना काफी डिफरेंट रोल के लिए तो वो कितना चैलेंजिंग था या कैसे आपने किया प्रोसेस जो था
Actually, I had seen Gagan Bhai's work way before that also, and I've been in awe
Yeah,
since a while, and there was always this thing, we'll work together once or whatever.
yeah,
And when this project came, when I read the script, he was like one of the few people I thought
yeah,
would be like very, very good
yeah, fit
at
for
the
the role.
role.
Yeah,
Yeah. And also, I think by that time, luckily for us, like you said, he was also getting similar roles, like
yeah,
the sort of scam sort of,
yeah,
the roles were coming his way. And maybe he also wanted that departure.
yeah,
Every actor or
yeah. They
artist would
want a
like to
different
break
craft.
out time to time. Yeah. So that sort of aligned pretty much at the same time. And like I said, the script at the end of the day is what pulled both the actors in also.
Yeah,
So once that happened, and Gagan Bhai and I had known each other a little before that also.
yeah,
So then it just felt right. And in terms of difficulty, it's not really difficult to work with, say, I mean, he would be able to answer better how he goes from
yeah,
a role,
yeah,
from one role to the other.
yeah,
But he is like the sort of perfect actor you want as a
yeah,
director, like he's a chameleon, he'll give it his all and he'll until he doesn't have that conviction,
Yeah.
he'll keep working at it. So
Yeah.
it it was for me, it was more about like, just witnessing
Yeah.
this happen and helping out whatever little I
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
Important for us also कि जितना हो सके we get that distinction going. So as an actor, we had like a lot of workshops with Paresh, and there'd be like exercises and stuff which would help him, because we never shoot, you don't shoot linearly so much, right? Like in this
Yeah.
case we shot the like one sequence, say like for a few days and a small gap, and then like say uh, the past timeline, so you're just jumping like in a few days.
Yeah.
So in order to get that switch, the real like workshops, I would
Yeah.
say, we did with Gagan Bhai also, and with
Yeah.
Paresh, especially with respect to
Yeah.
how he could perform as a younger this thing. And then at the end of the day, then it was all Paresh, to be honest, because
Yeah.
he was able to take that and do that. Like if you see his sort of body language in the past ka timeline also, there's
Yeah.
always this sort of weight around his shoulder, like there's this droopiness to which he goes.
Yeah.
Say like reactions a little slightly more faster,
Yeah.
like agar if someone tells him something, so he can snap immediately,
Yeah.
right? So, and then, which is like the sort of space you are also when you're, say,
Yeah.
younger,
Yeah, the
right?
student
Quick to
version
get
that
at.
we are showing, that he's preparing for
Yeah.
the exams and all. And one of the scene I remembered from the story, that when something that if Gagan Far is seeing him, he just move off the place, picking up his paper and all.
Ah,
So he just left the
mm.
place. So that's the instant response. And later in the character arc, when the same thing that he conveyed him, that maybe he's not into his vision, he just responded to him next day and something.
Yeah, that's right. So, then him trying to do a little stuff with the voice also to get that, like, you'll see a slightly more heavier
Yeah.
thing when he's actually speaking here. So I think like he grabbed on to all those things
Yeah.
so well that, and of course, then you have like hair makeup helps out, costuming helps out. So then, as a director and all heads of department,
Yeah.
you try to ammo him up a little more, so he
Yeah.
can do his best to uh, get like a lot of truth in that performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was able to do that, and I think the present version was slightly more easier to do compared to like say the past version.
Yeah. The present version means of the successful VP that is
Yeah,
Gagan.
that's right. Because he's also in that same age bracket.
Yeah.
He's well spoken,
Yeah.
very nice diction and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that then flew like very relatively easier
Yeah.
compared to this. This he had to put in a lot of work.
Yeah. बाकी फिर जब आप कोई भी एपिसोडिक कास्ट मेंबर के मतलब मिड शूट पर सीन में कोई मेजर चेंज सजेस्ट करते हैं, जब आपको लगता है कि आप ये परफॉर्म कर रहे थे, ऑन द स्क्रिप्ट चल रहे थे, कुछ मेजर चेंजेस आपको लगते हैं, तो उसमें क्रिएटिव इनपुट मतलब आप किस बेसिस पे सिलेक्ट करते हैं? मतलब ऑब्वियसली स्क्रिप्ट के बेसिस पे या अलग अलग जो भी चैलेंजेस आते होंगे उनके बेसिस पे होगा, पर कोई पर्टिकुलर वे भी होता है कि क्रिएटिव इनपुट को आप एक्सेप्ट करते हैं या रिजेक्ट करना है आपको, या इंस्टेंटेनियस करना है, या ये एक नॉन नेगोशिएबल मेट्रिक आप लोग की है कि हम लोग को ऐसे ही करना है, थोड़ा डिफरेंट करना है, तो उसके लिए भी कुछ रहता है, कोई प्रोसीजर रहता है?
Actually, there's no fixed procedure as such. वो project to project change होगा.
या
But I think one thing, few things you can take care of is कि, like say tomorrow if you're shooting a scene,
या
and like there is feedback or something coming in, the two main things that you should look at is कि, like, is this helping in terms of like the objective of the scene?
या
Something could say make it funnier, say, right?
या
But is it helping with the objective of the scene? If that's not happening, so
या
that's a good sort of place to feel, okay, maybe not then.
या
The other being like if it's making uh, the scene more interesting in
या
terms of what's happening. So with 13th also, what we'd often do is we'd have like a basic idea of how we'd want to shoot it and say
या
how many shots would be there. But then, like for some scenes, like the scene, I think in episode 4, when Ritesh comes to empty Sir's house and they're in the terrace,
Yeah.
having tea, and before empty Sir tells Ritesh, "Okay, I knew you were there,
Yeah.
you know." So, say in that scene, I remember when we were shooting, we had a particular sort of blocking in mind, but that as much as visually that would have looked good, it didn't feel so natural
Okay.
while for the actors while
Yeah.
performing. So then, that becomes key. Like if your actors aren't going to be comfortable, then all that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
So we always tried, we'd rehearse a few times also
Yeah.
before we'd say start shooting on set. So, they get familiar with the place,
Yeah.
and sometimes a few lines would, be improv. Like, for example, uh, like in the scene where empty sir needs to leave,
Yeah.
and in that scene, Girja ma'am tells him, "Aise karo."
Yeah.
And he looks at like, "Oh my late." Now that's Girja ma'am, right? That
Yeah.
was not in the this thing. So then you give them that space, you see like how it's playing out.
Yeah.
And then you, as a director, then you become more like, those guardrails in the
Yeah.
bowling alley.
Yeah.
You don't interfere with the ball, you
Yeah.
just make sure it's in
Yeah.
line. That's all.
Something the natural thing or the authentic thing that the actors do that basically approach more to the audience and to your vision as well because they have read the script multiple times and all, and sometimes their personal input help in making the scene more.
Yeah, correct. Because see, at the end of the day, they're performing it, right?
Yeah.
Now it's easy for like a director relatively to be objective and be like, okay, shot looks this way, but
Yeah.
they know that sort of that tactility comes to them a
Yeah.
little more. So very important that you're collaborative then,
Yeah.
at that
So it's
stage.
the director thing to basically adjust with the character sometimes to let them perform and let them do the things in their way. And you're just a
Yeah.
controller in the sense that it shouldn't get out of the place. Just to manage in between your vision also and to let them perform naturally also.
Yeah, and because see, like that's the beauty of like say directing film, right? Then you enjoy working with like when you say you enjoy working, it's these
Yeah.
things, they make your characters so human suddenly,
Yeah.
something that you read from text. Otherwise we could have sat like say in the
Yeah.
studio and done it exactly.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
this gives more life and
Yeah.
makes it more organic.
Yeah, definitely. So बाकी for फाइनेंसिंग कास्टिंग या शूटिंग में मतलब एक सिंगल एक आपका क्या रहता है मतलब मस्ट वैल्यू की चीज मतलब एक इनोवेटिव चीज है जैसे कि या फिर लो कॉस्ट हैक क्या रहता है आपका जिससे कि आप किसी भी अर्ली प्रोजेक्ट को ऑल आउट कर देते हैं मतलब अगेंस्ट ऑल द ऑड्स मतलब कि सर्वाइव करेगा प्रोजेक्ट एक स्टार्टिंग में क्या अप्रोच रहती है आपका प्रोजेक्ट को टेक प्लेस करने के लिए कि ये कंप्लीट होने के लिए हम लोग को एक मतलब खुद के लिए एक तरीके से प्रोजेक्ट के लिए सेल्फ बिलीफ क्या रहता है कि ये सारी चीजें ऑन
So,
पेस है।
uh, so I think like if you're say starting off as a first film, right? You want to make a film now. So I think it's always good to work backwards also in terms of resources.
या
For example, like say when we were making Bhasmasur, I knew that like if I wrote something in Bombay, it would be costlier, you
या
know. But in Rajasthan, like through favors, we had
या
this little piece of land where we could
या
shoot. And or like say even in terms of camera, like
ओके
now today if I have like I'm just thinking aloud here, but if I
या
have iPhones at my
या
disposal and that's all I have, so then I'd try to go for a found footage film.
ओके
Say, because that way you're not, it doesn't look like very wannabe. You
या
use your sort of resources for the film, that, and we generally do that also, say in
या
terms of aspect ratio, this, that,
यस
and everything. So it's good to think ulta, like what are the resources I have at hand, and maybe construct something around that. Like I remember there was this, there's this very nice indie film called Love and Shukla. So the whole, the main problem being in that film is the main character, wants to get intimate with his newlywed wife,
या
but क्योंकि chawls में जगह नहीं है तो,
या
he lives with his parents, so
या
he's trying to find a way over
या
the course of the film. And the director's approach also was such like where frames were shut off,
Yeah.
so because that was mimicking, say, his
Yeah.
state of mind, the character's state of
Yeah.
mind. So you use the resources,
Yeah.
so then it doesn't look like, why didn't we see like some big vista
Yeah.
shot or C-Link or something? It's okay because you're
Yeah.
so invested. I
Yeah.
think that approach could help,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, sometimes the reverse approach that you use, that what are the resources you
Yeah,
have, and according to the resources, you make the film.
correct.
Yeah,
And that being said, it's not like then you skimp on production design or costume. You
yeah,
put as much and maybe more work there. If it's
yeah,
an indie, so you are doing the heavy lifting more. So then I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the image looks good or bad, but it'll serve the larger purpose of a
yeah,
story.
yeah. So it's the overall process. Means if you are investing less in the one thing or the cast or the location, maybe, then you must have to invest in the production or the costumes more or the song more. So something or the end, it's overall the same thing ground.
So again, that would always depend from project to project. But I think as a director, what is important is that you know what all these things are doing for you in terms of
Yeah,
like, the film. Say for example in 13,
yeah,
in terms of costume, you'll see like Ritesh when he's younger, he's in his younger days, he mainly has like say half sleeves and
yeah,
round necks, you
yes,
know. But by the time he reaches a
yeah,
point where uh, he sort of shakes hands with Abhishek,
yeah,
you see a collar also come on.
yeah, the color, yeah,
And then now you're in, so then, like I'm just saying, this is one of the many things.
yeah,
So then you do this with every department. You try to say a story that supports this graph of the character in every
yeah,
department. Then m- more often than not, it will hold.
yes,
Most of the time, I think if we don't like a film, it's because these elements aren't all pointing in the
yeah.
same direction.
Yeah, it's the
It
small things
becomes
that
like,
the character that you put into
yeah,
that reflect.
everything should service the character. Otherwise, it could have a risk of looking like an ad. It might look great, but you won't know what like the other elements are really doing there in terms of
Yeah,
storytelling.
या डेफिनेटली सो बाकी सर अगर मतलब कोई नए एक्टर्स जैसे हैं कि कोई भी एक नया एक्टर है या कोई एक नया टैलेंट है जो आप लोगों से प्रोजेक्ट्स में एसोसिएट करना चाहता है या ज्वाइन करना चाहता है तो उसके लिए मतलब क्या ऑडिशंस रहते हैं या कास्टिंग प्रोसेस रहता है एक बेसिक स्किल फिट मतलब आप लोग एज अ डायरेक्टर क्या देखते हैं उसमें कि एक नया जो भी आपके साथ में ज्वाइन करना चाहता है या न्यू कमर है तो वो आप लोगों की रेडार पे आ सके इन द मोस्ट इफेक्टिव वे कि वो एक प्रोजेक्ट के लिए सिलेक्ट हो पाए एनी वन जैसे कोई फिल्म स्कूल से आया है थिएटर से एक्टिंग करके आया है सो समवन लाइक दैट
I think like see as directors, you're going from project to project. So and now there's always like you have a casting department
या
always in every project. So I think that sort of thing mainly comes from there.
या
So I think to from what little I've seen, theater helps a lot
या
in terms of honing the craft. And then it's about giving auditions and uh, going through different like casting agencies,
या
and it's more of a probability game, to be honest. The more you try to put yourself out there, the better there is a chance that
या
something might work out.
या
So yeah, like so you were saying.
No, for it's just a casting process that you need to be more approachable in form of the casting directors and all give more auditions. So that is the core strategy, or there's something else?
That is genuine, like generally how
Yeah,
like it would happen. Like say if someone has nothing to do with films or whatever, and they've just come in.
yeah,
So one way to hone the craft is like say by doing theater. So you're working regularly, and there are a lot of you get casting calls also. So then you
yeah,
see wherever it's most apt you apply, and in time, like the problem is it might not happen immediately.
yeah,
That is the big problem.
yeah,
But I think over time, like if you're good enough, like all these actors that we are talking about today,
yeah,
Paresh, Gagan Bhai, and all these people, they've done a lot of work,
yeah,
and It's just getting better and better. But
Yeah,
if they wouldn't have to like say the craft also wouldn't have been as honed, you know. So I think
yeah,
it's about just keeping at it.
yeah. So basically, it's the process that they need to follow in form of that they should get into the craft first, like the theater or the acting courses and something professional of the course, and then they get into the casting director. Like they approach the casting director for give as much auditions as they want to, so that they can showcase their craft. And at the end of the day, that is the only process that they can reach you. Like you have shortlisted 7 or 10, and if they find a suitable place in that, then they can directly approach you.
Yeah, that's right. Because generally, like say, eventually, this tapes that you would have a look at also
Yeah,
will come from the casting
yeah,
person itself. So that seems to be the right way in my
yeah,
opinion.
डेफिनेटली फॉर एंड बाकी फॉर मतलब अगर किसी को एक्टिंग में नहीं जाना या फिर एक एस्पायरिंग क्रू मेंबर है, सेकेंडली जैसे एडीज होते हैं आपके डिपार्टमेंट में, या फिर डिपार्टमेंट लीड या कोई प्रोडक्शन में जाना चाहता है, तो उसके लिए क्या प्रोसेस रहता है ज्वाइन करने के लिए? फिर तो सेम कास्टिंग, आई थिंक कास्टिंग तो नहीं होती होगी उनके लिए, शायद वो एक्टर्स के लिए होती है। तो बाकी कोई टीम
हाँ
में जुड़ना चाहता है तो उनके लिए क्या प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच रहेगी?
I think, like I said, you know, कि either you gone through an institute, तो वहाँ का कुछ network you have. That's how you generally get work through.
या
Or say you start working on film sets
या
right from the get-go
या
as an assistant, clapper, whatever, and work, make your way up.
या
The third option is like make an independent film.
या
Then that becomes more of a showreel also, you know,
या
for you.
या
And they'll get a lot more confidence in you as
या
a as an artist.
या
I'd, I'd prefer like if you'd go with the third option.
या for making the independent film, and then
Yeah,
showcasing your work to the audience, so that audience, directors, and all that get to know about your work, that there's someone called this person, and this is his work.
that's right.
ओके। फिर बाकी आपकी फील्ड में जैसे कि काफी सब्जेक्टिव फीडबैक भी काफी ज्यादा होते हैं, जैसे कि काफी हार्श क्रिटिसिज्म भी होता है कि एक मतलब आप लोगों को मतलब किसी एक पर्टिकुलर चीज में जो है मतलब एक अच्छा भी लग सकता है, किसी को शो हो सकता है नहीं भी लगे। तो उसको अप्रोच करने की क्या टेक्निक रहती है, एक रेजिलियंस कैसे मेंटेन करते हैं, तो उसके लिए क्या टेक्निक यूज करते हैं आप?
Uh, at the end of the day, like if we are making things, so that is for consumption, right? You want people to see it.
या
So obviously, like some people will really like it and some people won't at all.
या
But I think if, like, say, if people have not liked it and they have those reasons, and if they feel valid, they're very valid. You know, I mean,
या
everyone has a right to express what they feel after seeing a film. So if there's good like constructive criticism, so then that's always
या
helpful because sometimes you're invested in long form content for so many months and years that objectivity goes.
या
Sometimes you can get a little close,
या
too close. But I think as long as you are aware,
या
you know, you have that sort of sense, then it's fine. I mean, you can't please everyone.
या
So you got to take a bit of both and just, you know, get stronger and go ahead.
Yeah, so they avoid the criticism that is a positive, or take it in an effective way, that it's basically in the
Yeah,
helpful. Yeah. बाकी
correct.
yeah,
And
OTT.
sometimes there can be like criticism which like might you might not even know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
So I mean you can pick and choose, but like it's not good to be very high and mighty also. You
yeah,
got to be level headed and look at everything.
yeah, definitely. You need to be positive in that space. या एंड फॉर ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स के लिए, जैसे कि वर्क आपने भेजी भी, अपनी फिल्म्स भी भेजी है, तो उसके बेसिस पे मतलब किसी भी पर्टिकुलर जो है प्रोजेक्शन पिच या कंटेंट के लिए आपको क्या लगता है कि जो पहले 30 सेकेंड्स होते हैं, नॉर्मली बोला जाता है कि वो अटेंशन सीकर होते हैं किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट को जब आप शो करते हैं, तो उसमें जो फर्स्ट 30 सेकेंड पे दैट प्ले एन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल। तो उसके अंदर जो है मतलब क्या चीज आपको लगती है कि होनी चाहिए, क्या एक कोर साइकोलॉजिकल की रहती है कि एक ऑडियंस के दिमाग में रहेगी, ताकि आप ऑडियंस को डिटेन कर पाए उस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड तक?
I mean, we are seeing that, you know, going on everywhere, especially
या
like last few years. But then, more often than not, I think it also depends on like the material you have.
Yeah.
Now, if it's like a slow burn, to have, something like that would might not make sense in
Yeah.
the longer run for the film.
Yeah.
So I feel if there is conviction in like whatever you're pitching and you feel like, say for example, traditionally if it's a 90-minute film,
Yeah.
so there's this thing, right? कि around the 15th minute plot point one आ जाना चाहिए. You
Yeah.
need to know what the film is about. कि
Yes.
अच्छा kidnap हुआ है, this guy needs to save said person.
Yeah.
Has to happen in 15, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
whatever. So, I mean, those structures are always, those things are always helpful in terms of writing a film. But at the end of the day, if that emotion is crossing over, so
Yeah.
all this can take a step back
Yeah.
because that is what people are
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah. People are connecting to the emotions and the authentic things that they
Yeah.
rely on more. Yeah.
So it could be something very small and inconsequential in the larger scheme of things. But
Yeah.
say in your script, if subjectively that is like super important. Like say Children of Heaven, right? Like a kid losing a shoe is no big deal, but
Yeah.
the way it's been written with so much
Yeah.
conviction and heart, you're rooting for that little thing also.
Yeah.
I
With
think
that,
that's
with
what is
approaching
key.
it.
Yeah.
People are
So
feeling
instead
it
of
relatable.
approaching Yeah, so instead of seeing like, oh, these trends are happening, this will work and all, I think I mean, after a point, it can become unhealthy for what you're making, because
Yeah.
then it won't feel like it's yours.
Yeah.
It'll feel like a very sterile sort
Mm.
of script.
Yeah. It's basically your conviction in the film that if basically you are putting it in front of the audience that they find it relatable.
Yeah, so your voice needs to come out like a little stronger,
Yeah.
and you can't please everyone. So
Yeah. Definitely. तो दैट इज द मेन पॉइंट फूफा जैसे हाई डेफ ड्रीम अचीव करने के लिए अक्सर नॉर्मली जो है एक पर्सनल रनवे चाहिए होता है तो वो बहुत एक ब्रूटल स्टेप प्ले करता है एक इम्पॉर्टेंट स्टेप प्ले करता है लेकिन एक इफेक्टिव स्टेप क्या है जो एक पर्सन है जो अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ या फाइनेंसेस में जॉब में या फिर आउटसाइड ऑफ द जॉब लेना चाहिए ताकि टाइम या मनी फ्री हो जाए मतलब क्या आपको लगता है कि एक ड्रीम अचीव करने के लिए जैसे आपने जब फर्स्ट अपनी फिल्म बनाई थी तो आपने भी एक रिस्क लिया था ऑडियंस के सामने अपना काम पेश करने के लिए तो मतलब क्या आपको लगता है मतलब जर्नल ऑडियंस के लिए कि एक पर्सनल रनवे लोगों को लेना चाहिए जो एक काफी ब्रूटल है इफेक्टिव स्टेप है मतलब इनसाइड द जॉब रिस्क लेना या बाहर जॉब से रिस्क लेना बोथ इन सेंस ऑफ टाइम एंड मनी
now, like, I think that would definitely depend on the person and what they are looking to do.
या
But more often than not, I've seen कि like once you reach that point, say mentally, you do end up, taking that sort of risk. So uh, it would definitely depend person to person. But if you're a filmmaker, yes, 100%. I don't think any other way to
या
go about this. You have to bank on yourself, bet on yourself, and put things out there.
Yeah, you need to take the risk on your own, like you have mentioned about your teacher that have motivated you in taking the risk for your first film, that you need to put it out and
Yeah,
just believe in your film. So that is important.
correct. So I think as a first film, you should always look at it in terms of like, I have something to say and I need to put it out there.
Yeah,
But if you start thinking in terms of कि मुझे फेस्टिवल जाना है और ये करना है,
yeah,
then that voice again, like I was saying,
yeah,
gets little murky, then it's not a fun watch.
yeah. So it should
So
be
even
your
if that,
mindset behind the putting your first film out that's basically helping out.
yeah, like your worldview and your voice needs to be very important because that is the only thing that will be different.
Yeah,
Otherwise, all of us would watch like say a big budget film, right? Why are we watching
yeah,
say these other things that come out or in indie or something?
yeah,
Because you're drawn to like this new voice,
yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard this. I haven't seen the world in this way. I haven't heard
This, yeah.
one
This is
story like
something
this.
different that we are currently seeing.
Yeah.
That is the
So
approach.
I think, yeah, that I think is the right way to go about film. You're making your first film.
ओके सो बाकी फिल्म मेकर्स की लाइफ में या फिर डायरेक्टर्स की लाइफ में मतलब कैसी एक अनफिट चीज है जो कि मतलब एक क्रिएटिव इंडस्ट्री के लिए जो है सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती है जो आपको लगता है फिल्म मेकर को या डायरेक्टर को ये बात तो पता होनी चाहिए, बाकी अपार्ट फ्रॉम ऑल द थिंग्स दैट दे आर मैनेजिंग इट।
Um, I think in my case, I would say like keep, it's a marathon. It's not
Yeah,
like if say if like you're a 25-year-old and you're a filmmaker trying to make it into films and stuff like that. And around you, you'll be seeing like say people who've taken more traditional sort of direction in terms of work and stuff. So it might feel like what is happening? These are
yeah,
two different worlds. But that's what it's not so linear over here,
yeah,
like the sort of growth you look at. Things could suddenly happen out of the blue, or they might take a long, long time. So I think you got to be patient with yourself. And most importantly, like I was saying, like, you find your worldview, like why is it that what makes it unique, whatever you're putting it out there. As long as you find that, then you're in a great position. Then people are out there to encourage you and help you make a good film.
yeah. It's basically the conviction or the belief that they put in themselves and their work. That basically approach, like it's always the thing that right people, you find the right people along the way. So that is the thing
Yeah,
that comes with the filmmaking also, that you need to put your work out, believe in your film with conviction, and the right people will keep come across the way.
that's right. And it can get frustrating also sometimes, because sometimes these are long undertakings. Today, you could be part of two, three films, but they would have never seen the light of day.
Yeah,
Now imagine how frustrated an artist could get in those
yeah,
5, 6 years. So it's at those moments that you have to just tell yourself that maybe
yeah.
tomorrow will be better.
Yeah. So, in that case, that most of the films that you have said that some of the films don't see the light of the day. So, as a director also, what are the challenges in that? Mean for the actor, there is a challenge regarding everything, but as a director or as a producer, even there's much more challenge behind it. Payments are left out. That you cannot afford the payment for the set and all other people, or you're not getting the invested money. So is it a much bigger challenge in case of a producer or as a director? As if you're on the bigger field then.
Oh, I think generally, I mean, of course, if say tomorrow, if something like that has happened because of money issues,
Yeah,
so of course the producer would be hit the most
yeah,
because the rest of the crew gets paid
yeah,
pretty much during the making of the film. But then at the end of the day, say someone in the crew also has invested X
yeah,
amount of months or years
yeah,
into that project. So they also have that hope, say this comes out, so
yeah,
maybe I can be considered for
yeah,
something bigger and better.
yeah,
So of course there's disappointment all around, but
yeah,
you can't really like, who's to say?
yeah,
You just try to work on, the opportunities that come your way and just hope
yeah,
that things come out,
yeah,
So that's one thing on a like if you're say director or a
yeah.
DP and yeah, as a producer, like so far, luckily it's not happened like where we've done something and
Good.
something's
Yeah.
not
It shouldn't
finished.
be the
Yeah.
case with any of the producers that because they are also investing much of their money and time and everything
Yeah,
behind
but
the film.
sometimes it does happen, and sometimes there are many producers, maybe someone pulls off. There are 100 reasons. Maybe sometimes the producer doesn't get the sort of thing he was looking
Yeah,
for. So, or like there's the change in management, and
yeah,
a lot of things can happen. And recently, I've seen like, on writing fronts, if there's a change in trend,
yeah.
then whatever you're working on also might soon die down because that's not what they're looking at now.
Yeah,
So
and
there's
if the
100 ways.
change, the trend change that you have mentioned, if it also impacting the industry, like if and every single day we are seeing that there is something new that is coming out, something like we are currently seeing the AI films that are coming out, films that are made through AI, or instead of the casting, people are taking influencers into the place as they have much more of the following and everything. So, is that trend change also impacting the industry?
Uh, so on like I think in terms of AI, we're just sort of discovering it,
Yeah,
right? And just trying to see like as a tool how this can help. So I think that is still like in a little
yeah,
flux right now. Though a lot of people are, putting in that time and energy, rightly so,
yeah,
because it could really help today if you're telling me I can sit, in my house and get a sort of quality production for the ideas I have. That's such a nice thing for every independent filmmaker that
yeah,
don't have to go out and,
yeah,
shoot, do all of that. Because there are pitfalls to that. But on that front, I do see it to be quite a nice thing coming our way. And in terms of influencers, I think now I get it. I get why someone like would want to go with that approach,
yeah,
so that you would get the sort of numbers coming
yeah,
in. But oftentimes, what happens is it's at the cost of performance.
yeah,
So then that then becomes like a big no for me.
yeah,
That then doesn't make sense. The ideal thing would be a marriage of both.
yeah.
So if something like that happens, then like no one's not gonna like it then.
Yeah, definitely. For that is something different that we need to move with the technology. For example, you must be using the AI and the technology in your new film for the newer projects that you will work on in future, and maybe with the approach that you are convicted to in the form of the performance that you are looking or the vision that you are looking for.
Yeah, like from what I see now, like is that it's possible today to do like say a pre-visualization of the film,
Yeah,
relatively like say at a lower cost with these tools in
yeah,
hand, right? Otherwise, you'd sit with a storyboard artist, and of course you do all that here, but it's a little more approachable.
yeah,
So I think those things will really help. Like, and anything that would say help a filmmaker
yeah,
is always great. So I don't see a problem in this
yeah.
whole thing.
It's a good thing that it's coming in and
Yeah,
it's basically coming it with own advantages also.
yeah. So I think it'll take us a while to finally figure first like what it could do at most, and then probably see like okay these are the pros and cons and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But right now it's just an exciting time, so should
Yeah.
explore.
And for any new projects that we can see that you are coming up with, apart from 13 that has come recently, for any new projects that you are currently working on?
Right now I'm working on a music video and we're writing scripts together. Raghav Dutt and he's written Bhasmasur with me too.
Yeah.
So we're mainly working on this front and hopefully something solidifies soon.
Yeah. And apart from the web series also, we can see you on the director part and some other kind of films also.
So like I said, right now we are writing. So soon it'll go to a stage where you're pitching it.
Yeah.
So eventually, hopefully if it works out. So
Yeah.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens soon.
Okay, so that's great, and congratulations on that part, and all the best for your new projects. And for something that advice that you would get to every new audience that is listening over here, anything related to field or apart from the field, any advice or any message that you want to share to your audience?
It's a heavy one. I don't know, man. I never feel like I'm in a space to share
Yeah,
like a message or something.
yeah,
But yeah, if during our conversation I thought like, and it's also more for me than everyone else
yeah,
also, that like I said, you can't get bogged down. If
yeah,
it in this field, you gotta just keep at it, and eventually things should start falling into place. So
yeah.
it's the
So
one
you
thing.
just trust the process and have some patience in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely so. And so it was really good talking to you, discussing about the films and the projects that you have worked on and your filmmaking and the directional journey that we got to see. So thank you so much for joining me here.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
और ऐसे ही नए एपिसोड्स को देखने के लिए हमारे चैनल शब्दों के सफर को लाइक शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा धन्यवाद।